Welcome in and welcome back, everybody, for another edition of the hashtag Lunchtime Live Draft presented by Underdog Fantasy. Make sure you get in some Underdog Fantasy. If you're joining today and you haven't signed up for Underdog Fantasy yet, you've missed out on one of the best promotions. They were giving away $25 when you deposited 10, but the good news is if you deposit $10 right now using the promo code FAQS, that's FAQS, you can still get another $10 match. And so, yeah, if you haven't yet, sign up for it. It's a free $10 going into your account and allows you to do some fun stuff like jumping into uh, drafts right now with me, doing what we love doing. So today we're going to be doing something a little bit different, just really exposing the different just different formats that Underdog has. So we're throwing down in a Thursday $3 draft, nothing crazy, relatively cheap draft. I like doing a bunch of relatively cheap drafts. But it's a Thursday night draft, and it's only flex positions. It's only the New York Giants versus the Washington football team. And of course, the two top guys are gone off the board right away. I kind of hate doing it because he was such a bust this past week. But Antonio Gibson's off the board. Terry McLaurin's off the board. Saquon Barkley is the only guy kind of left on the board that has kind of like forever upside. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna snag Saquon Barkley with my first pick here. And then I have one more pick that I need to do. I need to try and get some upside here. So, oh man, it is a tough toss up right now for going with guys with upside and going with guys that actually produced, because a guy with upside like Galladay didn't really do much, but a guy like um, Sterling Shepard had a great game, seven receptions, 113 yards, and a touchdown. So, and another good option is Logan Thomas, but I think I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Kenny Galladay. I'm going to take the upside there. Definitely not the way I kind of wanted this first draft to start, to start out, but that's all right. I kind of got stuck with that 3 seed. It's only a 3-person draft, so it is a relatively short draft. I'm going to pull up the board right now so that everybody can see it. Share screen. Come on, share it. There we go. All right. So yeah, and Sterling Shepard went right afterwards. This is basically really chalkish, based on their underdog ADP and underdog projections. It's exactly how you would kind of expect this to go, I feel like. But man, this is kind of a tough one because the Giants, they they left a lot to be desired, let's say, in their game against the Broncos. And Washington against the Chargers, they showed off a lot of defensive prowess, which means it just makes me a little bit more sad about the fact that I'm starting two of the Giants offensive players, and ones that have kind of dealing with questionable injury marks as well, against such a stout defense. So now it's kind of a question of, who do I kind of pick up that can make something happen for me? And I only have two more picks here, so I'm really trying to dig deep and find, who's going to be a guy that can pop off, right? And so right now, man, it is tough pickings in these Thursday drafts. I may have to go with a guy that um like a guy like Adam Humphries, or even just try and take a stab at a guy like Cordarrelle Patterson, right? I'm sorry, not Cordarrelle Patterson, but Jarrett Patterson. because I only have so many. I only have the next two picks up here, and if something were to happen to Antonio Gibson, if he weren't able to play, he kind of steps right in as an option, right? And man, so many tough calls on upside here because there's just not a ton to kind of go after. I'm gonna definitely take Patterson here. It doesn't matter, kind of based on their spot, my spot in the draft. It's not like I'm reaching any because it's really kind of my last pick there. And I went with Adam Humphries too. I think those are two guys that they don't offer a ton for me, but they offer at least enough upside where they should be able to get some decent opportunities. Um, I really wanted to jump into another draft here, but it looks like it's taken a little while to fill up. But just a little bit of the different strategies that you can do, some of the different slates that are out there on Underdog for you. They have the Thursday night draft, like these that you can jump into. They have the 1 o'clock drafts that you can jump into. And yeah, so this draft is going to close out. And yeah, I mean, it's not one that I'm super happy with. I really wanted to be on the front end of this and really try and grab Antonio Gibson or Terry McLaurin. But man, oh man, there's just such limited upside on this team. It's really going to be a hit or miss type of thing. But let me just drop back into the Underdog setup here. There are a bunch of different options that you can jump into. They have the Thursday Night Rumble, which is a $10 entry, another three person pickup. At 1 o'clock, they have a whole slew of options from $3 drafts all the way up to $1,000 drafts. If you're dropping $1,000 on that draft, kudos to you, ma'am or sir, because that is a hell of a spot to be in. We're going to try and jump real quickly because I have a little bit more time left on my lunch break. So you're going to get a bonus and get two. And so I'm going to share this next screen with everybody. And we're going to do another 3-person $3 draft, but this is going to be the full 1 o'clock slate. And I feel like that's going to give us a lot more to kind of look at and a lot more to enjoy. So I'm going to share that screen with everybody's. There we go. All right. So again, another $3 draft. This one is going to fill out into 6 positions. You have your quarterback, running back, 2 wide receivers, tight end, and a flex. And it's going to give us a little bit more of a look at who's out there for the week. It'll still be a relatively quick draft, but it'll be a draft that'll be kind of fun for us to kind of look at and see where we're at here. So, and the reason why we do these now is to really be able to see who's out there early on, right? And so for me in this first spot, I feel like I have to go with a guy that is the undisputed kind of number one running back option, and that's Christian McCaffrey. There are some other running backs that I like this week, but with the number 1 seed, it's real tough to pass on. Real tough to pass on Christian McCaffrey. So for me, that's an easy grab. I'm going to go ahead and scoop him up right away. And actually, I'm going to make this full screen here. That's the wrong one. I want to make the draft board full screen here for us so that we can see entirely what's happening. Because like I said, this one's going to go relatively quick. Because it's a 3-person draft and it's a good way to just kind of get your feet wet. with different options that Underdog has out there. And so a couple of picks right away off the board, all Chiefs, which again, you really don't you kind of don't miss out by drafting Chiefs. A game that I'm going to try and focus on is the Arizona game against Minnesota. I think there's going to be some high scoring, and another Minnesota player just went off the board. And I'm going to double up right here at the turn with Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins. Yes, it's probably a little early to take a quarterback, but considering what Kyler Murray did, it's definitely a stack there that was very, very good in week 1, and it's a stack that I think is going to be really good in week 2 as well, especially considering Minnesota. They are not known for their defense, and they had a shootout with the Bengals that went to overtime, and I feel like the Vikings should have won that game. But they just started off really slow, and the Vikings defense, they allowed Jamar Chase to really tear things up. So yeah, I am all for this Minnesota stack here with Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins. And so now I'm gonna start looking, because I have to start 2 wide receivers. There is just so much opportunity out there, but I want to go in a couple different spots here. So I'm looking at the wide receivers that will probably get back to me depending on it looks like the number 2 spot here. They've gone with QB, RB. They're probably going to take one of these wide receivers off the board. And I mean, I'm looking at DK Metcalf, Seattle versus Tennessee, Seattle being at home. Metcalf did what he does so well and scores touchdowns. Unlimited touches too. He went 5 of 4 for 60 and a touchdown, which, it's not the kind of super productive, super voluminous outing that you would want out of that, but it's definitely a successful outing for DK. And yeah, when he gets the ball in his hands, you can do a whole lot of really good things when that happens. And let's see here. So I get to double up one more time. I think I am going to take DK Metcalf. I'm also going to because I have the double up here, I'm going to go ahead. I have Waller over Kittle this week. Kittle did very well in week 1, 5 targets, 4 receptions, 78 yards. Didn't get into the end zone, though. Waller, though, had 19 targets, 10 receptions. Like, he's just an absolute beast. So I'm going to go ahead and scoop up Darren Waller here. And let me see who else we have. So now the board is wide open for me because I can go wherever I want with my flex. And so let's see here. So many opportunities for flex. So many opportunities for a flex play. Who should we go after? I mean, Mixon against Chicago is enticing, but like I mentioned, Minnesota's defense is not that great. So, and Chicago's defense is a whole lot better. So that makes me a little bit nervous. Justin Jefferson against Arizona looks really interesting as well. And I think I have my option here. I think I'm going to go with Austin Eckler on the rebound against Dallas. I feel like a lot of people kind of have already taken their running backs here, so I feel like he could get back to me, or Nick Chubb against Houston. Those are two running backs that I am really excited for. So one of those two guys will be my last pick here. And it's just a matter of who does this number 2 spot take in front of me. And so let's see who we get coming off the board. And again, this is one of the great things about he was forced to take a tight end. I wasn't paying attention to the board. He didn't take a tight end yet. Let's see here. I mean, I know for a fact I'm going to scoop up I'm going to scoop up either Eckler or Chubb. The question is which one. I'm going to go with Eckler and his upside in the passing game. Even though his output was not great against Washington, but Washington's defense is pretty stellar. So I'm going to go with Eckler and the upside, especially because it's half PPR. Austin Eckler is the guy, and that's gonna wrap up. That's gonna wrap up our draft here, and yeah, I feel like that was a pretty solid draft. I'm really happy. I'm much happier about this draft than I am about the first draft that I did. That was only New York and Washington. Partly because there's not a ton of options there. That's probably one that in the future I may stay a little bit further away from, those types of Thursday night games where, yeah, I'm a fan of Thursday night games because I get to have beers on Thursday nights and watch football. But sometimes that football is not the greatest. Sometimes that's not the greatest offensive output. This could be a game where Washington just manhandles the Giants. Like, even coming from somebody who lives in New York, I unfortunately get tortured with a lot of Jets and Giants games, and that's a blessing and a curse because I get a pretty good look at the Giants. I get a pretty good look at the Jets, and the Giants just did not look that great. They did come back a little bit against Denver. They did start to put some things together, but man, that Washington defense is going to be a struggle for the Giants to be able to overcome. So, all right. Well, that is going to wrap it up for our lunchtime live draft. I think my 1:00 slate looks really good. I have Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler, Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins stacked with Murray, DK Metcalf, and Darren Waller. I feel like that's going to give me an edge, especially looking at the other options that are out there. It looks like everybody doubled up on running backs here, which you'll see in some of the smaller drafts, because running backs will provide a safer floor, whereas wide receivers usually can give you a little bit more upside, but they could also give you a whole lot less if they're not able to score a touchdown or rack up just an insane amount of receptions or an insane amount of yardage. So I think my guys are going to be able to give me a lot of that. And that's going to do it for our lunchtime live draft. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you check out at GX Fantasy Facts. My co-host Dynasty_Pat is going to be joining me tonight for our regular at GX Fantasy Facts podcast. Make sure you check that out. You can find it on gridironexperts.com. You can find me on gridironexperts.com, along with NFL Draft Bible on Sports Illustrated and FF Faceoff. You can find my rankings on Fantasy Pros. You can find my picks on Tally Site. I'm all over the place. Make sure you check it out. I hope you had a great week 1. I know I did. I'm looking forward to a great week 2, and I hope you have a great week 2 as well. Catch you on the flip side.